Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And welcome to another sub-segment of fictional women around the world. And disclaimer on this one, I have seen this show being Gargoyles, but it has been a hot minute since I've seen it.
Yeah. Is this the WB cartoon?
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, I just remember my brother really liked it. And there's certain things I remember very clearly, but otherwise it's kind of a mess of all the Saturday morning cartoons I used to watch. But today, it's a bit of a shorter episode because we're going on vacation, so we're trying to get a lot of stuff done.
Yes.
We're talking about Elisa Masa from the 90s show Gargoyles. She was voiced by Sally Richardson and was this New York cop of Native American and African descent who became sort of their human liaison. She became like the person who helped the supernatural gargoyles assimilate to the modern human world.
Wow. I'm just thinking about when it was out because I guess I was a teenager when this was out. And I didn't watch many cartoons anyway, but it would pop up on, I want to say on the WB at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about it then, didn't think anything of it. Moving on. Cartoon. As you describe it, I'm like, what in the hell was this thing? It's such a juxtaposition of like remembering it and just thinking it was normal to this moment of like, what?
Oh, wait, Samantha.
But go ahead.
There's more.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I just remember bypassing it. Like, yeah, obviously. Gargoyles, come to life. New York. Moving on.
Obviously. But yeah, she was sort of there helping them assimilate. I actually am excited to come back and do an episode on April from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who I feel like played a similar role for the Turtles. But anyway, according to some things I read, this character was originally supposed to be a Hispanic woman named Chavez, but they changed her heritage to match the actors. The physical design of the character is also based on the actor. But yeah, let's really break your mind even more. Quick breakdown of the plot, Samantha.
Here we go.
Gargoyles was an animated show, but it stood out for the complexity and darkness of its storylines, often with Shakespearean elements.
Yep.
It was adapted to a Sega Genesis game in 1995. I had that game. They both follow supernatural nocturnal beings called gargoyles that turn to stone during the day. The particular clan of New York based gargoyles the story follows is led by Goliath. He's their main guy. The gargoyles used to live in Scotland castles alongside humans until they were betrayed by the humans. And so then in 1994, a rich tycoon named David Xanatos purchased Gargoyle Castle and rebuilt it in New York on top of his skyscraper above the clouds, which met the requirements for reawakening of the 6 of the remaining gargoyles. NYPD detective Elisa Masa befriends these gargoyles, though she's very skeptical. She's like, what is this? What is going on here?
Just skeptical. It's fine.
She's just skeptical. Together, they confront supernatural threats to them and the world at large and just to city life. I feel like a lot of 90s things were about this. They're like, you go to New York and
I mean, it's based out of New York, yes.
Yeah, and you're like trying to save the world, but you're also trying to like eat some good pizza. It's a whole thing. From the intro of season 2, here is a quote. 1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. We were betrayed by the humans we had sworn to protect. Frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now, here in Manhattan, the spell is broken and we live again. We are defenders of the night. We are gargoyles.
Good job.
Yes. Thank you. I feel like Christina could probably have just played that. It would have been better, but I wanted to read it because it's great. Maybe some creepy sound effects, Christina.
Make that echo a little bit, please.
Yeah. Give it some oomph. So when Elisa first met the Gargoyles, she was, as I said, skeptical. But she soon befriended Goliath over a shared drive to protect the innocent. She grows to care for the Gargoyles and does her best to look out for them and protect them. She even spies on this rich tycoon guy, Xanatos. At one point, she is turned into a gargoyle temporarily herself, which allows her to go against the big bad Demona, all with the added benefits of her human skills. So it's like she's a gargoyle, but also she's really good at all this other stuff that they're not good at. Mm-hmm. Of course, eventually she falls in love with Goliath because, yeah.
Awkward.
Yes, feelings Goliath does return, but they don't pursue them at first because they're afraid they can't have a relationship since they are different species. They eventually confess their love for each other in the finale of season 2. So, this character really resonated and had a lasting impact. She regularly comes up when I'm like, fictional feminist characters I should talk about. A lot of people say she was ahead of her time because this was, the 90s, and she was kind of the lead. Detective Ellen Yin from Batman is an homage to her. Here's a quote from A Tribe Called Geek. While the show does show its age in some of the ways native cultures are portrayed, the idea that one must be modern or traditional, that Elisa's implied Hopi grandfather uses the Lakota word, using coyote and kachina a little too interchangeably, it was one of the early examples of a native character given some real depth in a popular show. And here's a quote from What Culture. Elisa fears no evil and takes on all villains, no matter how big or small, with equal bravery and determination. If nothing else, her slapping the taste out of influential bad guys is quite the spectacular sight. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, everything I read, it sounds like she was just, it's one of those things where she was just a good character. Like, it wasn't, you're like, oh yeah, I like her. She seems strong. It didn't have all these other, like, for a woman or something attached to it. And people really, the character resonated, and it did really impact a lot of people, especially like when you're a kid and you're watching these cartoons. Like I said, it has been a minute since I have seen this. Reading about it, I was kind of like, oh, I wonder if I can find this somewhere.
It's got to be on YouTube.
It's got to be somewhere. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it back. And I would love to hear from listeners if you have more. Oh, wow. If you have more recent experience, if this character really made an impact on you, any of your thoughts about Gargoyles. Oh my gosh.
Apparently.
Wow. Okay. Well, this weekend, I know what I'm doing. But yeah, we would love to hear from you about that. I had so many cartoons when I was a kid that really stuck with me and impacted me, and I kind of want to come back. I loved the X-Men, and I've been meaning to talk about some more X people on here, this segment. But yeah, please let us know. You can write to us. Our email is stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.